Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Wrestle Rewind. Tonight is October the 3rd, 2019, and I am your host, Tommy T, joined as always by Double K, A-Man, and Smokey Z. We have a ton of wrestling news to talk about for this week. It has been an action-packed week so far, and we've got still several shows to take place throughout the course of the rest of the week and this weekend. But let's start off with our normal Today in Wrestling History. So we've got some birthdays to celebrate. Linda McMahon, today is is her birthday, as well as Abyss from I would like to say from his TNA days, but as many people probably know, Abyss is actually a contracted employee of WWE now. He works as a producer backstage. And lastly, we have John Morrison, whose birthday is also today. So, Nico, he wasn't on my list. And in fact, I waited for The Miz to inform me that today was John Morrison's birthday, which was provided by none other than Smokey Z, which he has an incredible contact known as Twitter. So,
what'd you call him?
I didn't call him anything.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Couple of notes from Today in Wrestling History. Today was the day that Raw switched back from TNN and came back to the USA Network on this day, as well as Hogan's final appearance for Impact Wrestling was on today's date. And lastly, today also marks the day that the one and only Hell in a Cell match between Kane and The Undertaker took place on today's date. So all of those interesting facts for us today for October the 3rd. And that's going to take us straight into our WWE news for this week. And we have a couple of different topics to talk about tonight. We're going to kick it right off with the thoughts from the group here as to the Raw season premiere this past Monday. A lot of different things that took place. So let's just kind of have some conversation about what you thought. We got to see the return of Pyro for the opening of Monday Night Raw, as well as a brand new stage, which was really just a modification of the existing stage. But they actually made the logo kind of fit in with what they did with the stage, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
A-Man, your thoughts on Monday Night Raw?
Amen.
I liked the setup. I thought it looked pretty cool. Brock looks like a beast with the pyro again. Mm-hmm. He was one of those guys who needed pyro with his entrance. You just felt like something was missing when he didn't have it. And it was pretty cool to see who ended up getting pyro. It was interesting Alexa Bliss did. Just out of all people, because not everyone got pyro, but it was cool. And the ending of the show is quite interesting.
So
I don't really know.
I heard so many mixed reviews from folks, and Smokey Z was just dragging this through the mud earlier about how ridiculous and absurd it was to have the Bobby Lashley Lana mix go on. Double K was right there
I'm with
him.
Smokey on that. I think it was.
However,
absolutely ridiculous.
But it's the first time in a long time that WWE's done something that actually created a legitimate cliffhanger. Like, you don't know.
It came out of nowhere. It kind of didn't make any sense.
I mean,
but you don't know what the story is behind it.
Right.
Sure you do. Yes, you do. It's Edge, Lita, Matt Hardy.
Well, maybe.
But that one had real beef.
Well, that's because that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this one
Dude stole somebody else's wife.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, I mean...
While he was out on injury.
What did it look like to you? It looked kind of like the same thing.
Maybe. Rusev looked good, though.
Rusev has looked...
Didn't make any sense why he just stood there. Didn't even move.
Like,
it was just too long for him to be standing there.
Right.
Like, you could be, shocked, but then, after, a couple
show
minutes,
show some sort of emotion.
He just stood there with his hands on his hips like, well, this is...
It almost makes me think, they were late hitting the lights for the Fiend.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And they did stop for a second and then go back.
Yeah, and maybe he wasn't supposed to stand there and sell nothing for that long. Because, to me, he wasn't even selling that he was shocked or surprised.
He just shut his eyes.
Or, he just kind of stood there looking like, well, shit.
Yeah, well.
What am I going to do about that? And then... one of y'all just said...
You know what they say.
Oh, Lord.
No,
nope,
never mind.
I don't.
Never mind.
Nope.
We'll continue.
They did stop and look and then go back again. So, like I said, it just looks kind of like there was something that was delayed and it wasn't happening when it was supposed to, so they had to drag it out. But
y'all happen to see Corbin and Randy's
Corbin and Randy
reaction?
were cracking up. They were having a good time.
I did see that they posted on Instagram like a bunch of people's reactions from like the fans and everything.
I thought that I was a fan of Monday Night. I really enjoyed the show up till that point.
I was watching. I was like, "What is going on right now? Like, where did this even come from?"
Well, but I think that's the point of it, is they want you to end the show asking questions. And the whole reason behind that is that's what's going to make you tune in next week to find out what the answer is.
I promise you that is not what's going to make me tune in next Monday.
So maybe not for you, but for somebody it will be.
I would be more likely to tune in had Lana not come back and they had chosen a different way
I don't think
to
that they
start
have
beef between Lashley and Rusev.
Yeah, I don't think that they have any. I don't think there's a real plan for Lana, and I don't think she's going to have a prominent on-screen role unless this is a way to put Lana with Lashley as his manager. I think that I mean, again, we never know what the behind-the-scenes stuff looks like, but there might be a chance that they lose Rusev, that he's not going to renew his contract. And so if that's the case, and you have the potential to hold on to Lana, then you've got to come up with something for her to do. You can't... I mean, and 2 years ago we would have said, well, that'll never happen. Well, nobody would have ever thought that Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. John Moxley, would be with AEW, and his wife... Renee Young would be a WWE prominent broadcaster.
Right.
So we would have never guessed that this would have happened.
Sure.
And so I think that it's too early for us to cast judgment on what that segment means when we don't even know what the plot is yet. So, I mean, that's really where I am with it. I agree with you that it didn't make sense with what they did Monday night, but I'm willing to give them an opportunity to see what they do with it, how they explain it moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope it's not one of those things that they just drop, because then it's literally they just did that for nothing.
Well, but that still may be the case, because you don't know what's going to happen. Again, I think we are still going to see a very different WWE universe after the draft than what we have right now. So whatever they do right now, realistically, is probably temporary.
Wait, what day is the draft? It's soon.
2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
So whatever it is they do is likely to be temporary, period.
I think they may just kind of be spitballing to see what works.
And that could be it. They might be literally just throwing stuff at the wall.
Let's gauge the reaction that we get. I mean,
and see what sticks. Throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I mean, that's probably where they are, because, again, they're in a holding pattern. And not to mention, none of us know what tomorrow night's going to look like.
I'm so excited for
The premiere of SmackDown on Fox.
I know it's going to be electrifying.
Yes, it will be.
I know it's going to be electrifying.
It is going to be a show.
We know what that looks like.
We do. But we know it's going to be a show that is likely to be unmatched by anything else on WWE television for the rest of the year.
I'm down.
It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of questions that are coming out. Roman Reigns now openly stating that he wants to face The Rock at some point in time.
Please be Tampa.
So
Please be Tampa.
building towards something like that.
Please be
I'm
Tampa.
the only one in the room that can say I saw his last match in person.
I'm the only one in the room that can say that they saw him wrestle Triple H and Kurt Angle on the same night.
Yeah, that's true.
At SummerSlam.
So,
and win.
I
don't know. I had to defend myself.
He felt insulted by that. So he had to find some way.
I had to fight back. I had to defend.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that is what it is. And we'll see what happens down the road as to how tomorrow night changes the landscape of WWE. Because we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know who the WWE champion's going to be.
If it's clean, yes, we do.
Yes, without question.
If there's no interference, if there's no help from New Day or anybody, Yes,
So
we do.
I read something online the other day that said that the reason why that WWE had Lesnar attack Dominique and Ray was to have them interfere, which would cause Brock to lose the match, but lose it not cleanly. Kofi retains. Brock doesn't take a loss. It's a disqualification. So it's a way to build that.
Yeah, I read that.
You can't have a screwy finish on this show, though.
Yeah, not of all shows.
Even if it's unpopular, like, even if, I don't know.
I don't even know if it would be unpopular
And
at
that's
this
what I was
point.
about
I
to say,
think
like,
it
I
would
don't
kind of
even
be expected.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I don't even know if people are going to hate if Brock wins tomorrow, the people who are actually going to be there, but you have to have a decisive win on your first show on Fox. It's a sports show, like, you can't have a non-finish.
Right. That's like a tie in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of sense does that make?
Yeah, well, ask the NFL because they still do it.
I know. It's what I'm saying. Makes no sense. Nobody likes it. It's extremely unpopular.
So, yeah, I think tomorrow night's going to have some surprises in store for sure. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I definitely think we're going to get some surprises out of the night. WWE once again announcing that they're going to return to Saudi Arabia to run a second Crown Jewel show. And
where all is this show listened to?
All over the world.
Awesome.
Right.
But it's
move my seat over.
I don't know how I feel about this once again, but now I understand why we got Hell in a Cell so early in the month. Mm-hmm. Is because they're running this special at the end of the month in Saudi Arabia. Not knowing what that card is going to look like.
Well, because if you look at the poster, at least 4 people on that poster, maybe 3, are going to decide that they're not going to go. Because each year they've ran this show, so our prominent stars have decided not to go. John Cena, Daniel Bryan, to name a couple. So,
well, I mean, they'll fork out big money for big names. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
There is talk that there may be a segment. There may be. You know, out of all the stuff that happens on this show, I would not have expected you to be the one.
My elbow slipped off the table.
And we got it on camera. Like,
To do that.
So great.
Oh, God.
It wouldn't have been a shock for anybody if it would have happened to me.
No.
12 minutes, 40 seconds.
I mean,
The best part was his reaction to it.
Well,
because he was shocked.
Well, look, no, because the lid's off and it was coming right at my eye like that. God, you guys suck.
We didn't do it. You did.
Made me feel better.
So, anyways, I did read today that there is a segment that apparently the folks over in Saudi Arabia have offered big money for a legend to come out of retirement. The one that they have not yet seen in Saudi Arabia. And they don't want necessarily a match. They just want a segment out of it. And that is none other than Sting himself. And so I'm thinking that is there a chance that we get a Sting Fiend face-off at Crown Jewel, even if it's nothing more than just, the Fiend appearing and giving him the mandible claw.
Yeah, right.
And taking him down. But I definitely...
You can't give them that match.
I don't think they'll give them the match.
I think it's just another legend for Bray to hang on the wall of the funhouse.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's fine. It's perfect.
So... and I'm sure, again, with the money that they're probably offering, Sting will likely, put the face paint on.
Absolutely.
Considering he only charges $20,000 to do it for an indie show. Yeah. So, I'm sure Saudi Arabia will offer him far more than that to fly across the world and put face paint on and come out there and sweat it off. So, we're clearly going to get some type of, I guess, Survivor Series style match. At Crown Jewel, Hulk Hogan naming his team, or the captain of his team for Crown Jewel, being Seth Rollins. So I guess we're going to get something like that at Crown Jewel, but I guess that remains to be seen.
Well, they did something almost exactly similar in TNA. There was a Team Hogan versus a Team Flair. This is a rehash of that.
Except for on a much larger stage.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying the idea. I didn't say the rehash in the match because it's completely, other than Hogan and Flair, it's a completely different cast of characters.
What did you guys think of Ric Flair on Monday?
I think he was drunk.
Yeah,
He was on some other level.
I couldn't keep watching. Like I had to turn away.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh, I can't watch.
He couldn't stay focused, and he kept hijacking the show.
And then being so aggressive.
Yeah.
When he didn't need to be. And I thought he was going to hit Hulk.
I was kind of hoping Hogan would have hit him in the mouth.
And
I clearly,
straighten up them
I
crooked
really
teeth.
do think that.
I thought I wanted to miss this. I don't know. I was just so scared.
Well, you could tell Hogan and Miz were a little taken back and weren't 100% sure which way to go with it.
Hogan saved it though to get not for nothing.
Well, I mean,
he really saved that segment.
Because he's a real American.
Just like Rusev.
Sweet Jesus.
What?
Nothing. Flair is. It's probably time for Flair just to ride off into the sunset and never come back.
Yeah.
And it pains me to say that, but I really do believe if you take a look at just physically what has happened to him, and mentally his ability to actually give the Ric Flair promo that we got Monday does not hold a candle to anything Ric Flair.
I don't even know what it was.
It didn't even make sense.
Well, that's why they didn't even. If you remember, we talked about after the reunion show, the Raw reunion.
They didn't give him a microphone.
They didn't even let him talk. Mm-hmm. They let Hogan talk. Obviously they let Austin talk. Let some other people talk.
And I'm pretty sure Austin was drunk, and he still did better.
But Ric Flair, one of the greatest talkers ever, if not the greatest, right? Didn't even get a microphone at that show. So now all of a sudden you thought this was a good idea to give him a damn mic?
Extended segment time to talk.
Yeah,
Not
right.
just a quick here, say this, thank whoever, move on.
No, it was.
It was a planned segment.
Yeah.
They're gonna have X amount of time to set this up. It was just.
Well, it was. It was
so
set up, and
worried.
he kind of went here and over here, and
Well, it didn't follow any pattern or rhythm.
And
It
that's
was
why-
just
yeah.
sporadic, and it you had that moment where you stopped and you're just going.
I had to rewind it for a second.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Because you just didn't know, and it's like, does anybody else feel the same way I do? That
Because he
Rick
literally went.
did somebody give him a Valium or something before he came out?
Right.
yeah.
He went after Hogan.
hit a
Hogan pretty
Coke.
much called him the greatest of all time, and then Flair just completely.
Then
bashed
Flair
him, and
attacks him.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, he literally just gave you the biggest credit you could ever get, and you're acting like he just attacked you. He's
Well, but some of
saying
that
you're the
may have
best.
been scripted. It may have been, hey, you're the heel, you're the face.
Yeah, it could have been. It was just weird. Even if it was scripted, that's even weirder.
Well, and this is something I'll say confidently, and I'll go back to even the WCW days. If you think about when they were in their prime in the late '90s, Hogan and Flair never had chemistry. Never.
Yeah.
They have never had chemistry in anything they've done, whether it be in-ring matches or whether it be backstage segments. Everything they've done, they've never had chemistry.
That's weird.
And so, yeah, absolutely, because two of the
If you think
most
about it.
incredible performers of all time have zero ability to create a chemistry that is recognizable between each other. And I love both the guys. The industry wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for either of them.
Yeah.
But they've never, I'm serious though. You think back to the WCW days.
I
There
agree.
was never any chemistry there. Watching their matches, it was. I mean, they spent months building matches between Flair and Hogan, and it was like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You compare that to Hogan Sting of '97, '98, and '99. It doesn't even hold a candle.
Right.
Hogan Macho. Even Macho Flair had some chemistry to it. Sting Flair had chemistry to it. Because there was a long history there. That was where Sting got his first title from, was from Flair.
Yeah.
So there was chemistry there. There was a story there, but Hogan and Flair have never been able to do that. And now you take them in this is going to sound awful, but their advanced age.
Well, that sounds better than where I thought you were headed.
And so you take them.
I'm not sure where I thought that was going when you
take them at
prefaced
their
it, but
advanced age, detached from the business for all intents and purposes, and say, hey, go do this. What I saw on Monday night was Hogan still can. Flair doesn't have a clue.
Well, what you said right there, detached from the business, I don't think it's that. It looked, and for all the world, it looks outside of a ring that Flair's detached from most of reality at this point.
And it could be. We don't know how many meds he's on. We don't know anything about the outside circumstances. We just don't.
Out of his medical records here recently.
Well, yeah, and
I think he's on a lot of medicine.
Yeah, but I don't think we're saying anything that the internet did not blow up with.
Sure, absolutely.
So I don't think we're talking out of turn or out of line or anything. But
I think it's just.
I'm with you.
Not in a negative way. If anything, it's just more of concern. Just relax. You don't need to do this. Just enjoy.
I said something to Sarah the other night, like Tommy just said. I said, I hate to say this, but I really think it's time for Flair to just go away.
Or do something behind the scenes. Be a mentor for the guys. If you still
I don't know that he can.
If you want to.
Because if you listen to anything like a Triple H interview that he gave a few years ago about Ric Flair, Richard Fleer is who he needs to be now. Yeah. But he can't live without Ric Flair.
I think if he removes himself from the wrestling business entirely, he'll die.
So he's like the Joe Paterno of professional wrestling. As soon as Paterno was out at Penn State, it wasn't much longer until he was gone.
Yeah, it is something that is unique in every sense when you think about what Ric Flair has done and what he has made with the business. But I don't know that there's ever a situation where he's going to be able to come back and have the same kind of impact that he's had in the past. That's just something that he can't come back today and be the Flair that he was then.
No.
And
but in his mind, he's still that guy.
Oh, I don't have any doubt. Ric Flair, in Richard Fleer's mind, is still in his 20s.
Well, I think Richard Fleer is, for all intents and purposes, now he's dead and gone. I think the only thing we have now is Ric Flair.
I'll disagree with you. I think that Richard Fleer is still fully well functioning because that's who we saw on Monday night. But he can't be Ric Flair, so he's doing his best to pretend.
Fair.
And that's why it doesn't seem authentic. It doesn't seem genuine. It seems fake. It seems fraudulent.
It seems doesn't combative and defensive. It doesn't seem...
Well, because, again, he's trying to be something that he isn't anymore.
Right.
He just isn't. It's not something where the guy's talent is ever going to be taken from him.
I hate to say it, though. Even Hogan knew his limits. Remember the pose down up on the stage?
Oh, yeah.
With Rusev. Even Hogan knows his limits now.
Yeah.
He's
There's
not...
nothing wrong with that. They're in their 70s. Right? Hogan is
pretty close.
right?
Pretty close.
Late 60s.
Late 60s. Mid-late 60s. I think
Flair might be 70s.
I think Hogan just turned 66.
Okay.
But still, like I said, he's still a big dude.
Yeah.
Well, and really, let's be real. Between the two of them, Hogan has had physical health problems as far as his skeletal and muscular structure.
Well, he's got a fake hip, maybe two.
Flair had one. Yeah, well, we can't say nothing about that. Taker's got 2 fake hips, 2 fake elbows, and 1 fake knee, and he still wrestles.
Yeah, but see, he's
so. But
dead man. They keep coming back. It's like
you look at Flair. Flair has had legitimate health issues, not physical structure issues.
Right.
Legitimate health issues, and so. That stuff takes far more toll on your body than the physical ailments. Physical ailments, they can go in and repair a bone. They can go in and they can repair a muscle. They can detach and reattach. But when you're running into physical health problems that are medical illnesses, that stuff takes a far bigger physiological toll on your body than what you have. Than what Hogan and even Taker have gone through. So, it was disappointing, but I think we've kind of dragged that segment through the mud now enough. But it'll be interesting to see what we get. However, anybody willing to bet that we might know more about the card for Crown Jewel than what we know about for Hell in a Cell, which is, mind you, 4 days away, and we only have 3 matches on the card. Just pause and think about that for a second. We are 4 days away from a pay-per-view,
I didn't even know there was 3. I didn't even know.
and there's
Bryan
only
and
3
Randy Orton.
announced matches on the card. Like,
how does
this
that
is that
happen?
moment where you guys, you know what I've said and how I felt about AEW, but this is that moment that I got to look at WWE and go, what in the hell are you doing?
Yeah, because you had how many matches in the last pay-per-view?
You had 11 matches on the last card
And you've
for
got-
Clash of the Champions, and you got 3 for Hell in a Cell.
Well, I mean, I think maybe they're saving the whatever big announcements they have left, plus the little ones too, because we only have 3 for tomorrow, for Friday night. They're trying to
definitely
pack.
have to throw a few more on.
Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to
They
pack
have
as
to.
much as they can possibly pack into tomorrow's show,
But that-
and
that-
try and make it as big or inflated as they can.
But doesn't that kind of just rush it?
Well, I mean, I think they automatically feel that people are going to tune into Hell in a Cell anyway, solely based off of The Fiend.
Yeah, I think that's why the ticket sales are there.
I think The Fiend is 100% on his own, and I'm not trying to even take away from anybody else that, is or is going to be on this card. I think right now, The Fiend is 100% carrying this pay-per-view on his own.
Did you guys see the clips of him doing media, either today or yesterday?
In character.
And yes,
What? Did he really?
it was the best thing.
I've gotta go
seen
look.
in
I didn't
a
see it.
long
I didn't
time.
see
He
it
did the
either.
weather and just like some other like random interview.
And he did it in character,
character,
and it
yeah.
was incredible.
That's
it
awesome.
was the best. thing ever.
Incredible.
So good.
I would go on the record, which I will now, I guess, because we're
I mean,
recording,
I guess right now you're on it.
of saying that what he did in those media clips was better than any promo that any wrestler, past or present, has done in the past 5 years.
Okay.
Because
All right.
this is the first time in a long time that you have a character who doesn't break that character and delivers a message, and we haven't seen that
No.
in years. Years. I'm talking like back to like Kane Undertaker days between those two guys.
I was sitting here thinking of
was
Taker
the
whole
last time we saw like good authentic character building where they delivered messages, whether it was promos. So you think about it, how did Kane talk when we first heard from him?
with the little machine.
The voice box,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? So you think about that,
That's
Which, if you really look back on it, it's kind of weird.
it is. It's
So I say, if you really stop.
so
put that
you
in perspective.
so you think, but you
Now
think
you're
about
there.
that. It was a character. We haven't had that.
Yeah.
So when you get a chance,
Please.
Nico, can
I
you?
will.
Yeah.
Nico,
Yeah, I was
is
gonna say,
is
can we
there
run
any
one?
way that you can see if you can find one of those clips?
The weather one is the best.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if you just Google "The Fiend delivers the weather," you should get.
Or just type in Bray Wyatt.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he did actually. It was 2 or 3 of them that he did,
Yeah.
and it was it was pretty. Not what I thought we were gonna get, but
It was just the most random thing. I was
Yeah.
like, is this real? Like, oh,
did this really happen?
Yeah, it sure did.
So it was very interesting.
Oh, here we go.
So yeah, we'll turn this over to Nico.
See on Jerry Springer?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, there are 2. Which one would you like?
Let's start with the top one,
Let's do the weather.
and we'll turn this over to Nico so that he can show you guys the same clip that we'll be watching here in the studio.
Excuse me.
Good friends out this week. Yeah, good lights out here. And despite his tough looking exterior, he's a softy at heart, right?
Yeah, man.
Alright.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
There you go. He's a lover, not a fighter. He's in WWE. Now come on, help me do the weather here.
You got
So
it,
let's
man.
go over it. Do the green screen. See the satellite radar, clear conditions right now. And you want to help me out? Tell me about what's going on over here.
I have always wanted to do this. You're making dreams
I'm
come true.
happy to do so, man. Just don't get mad at me.
Of course not. Okay, so for the 7-day forecast, it looks like we got pretty decent weather coming through the north, south, east, west. No rain or nothing, but Sunday, it looks like it's gonna be a cold day in the hell. Hell in a cell is coming to the Golden One Center.
Okay, Bray. Well, I'll agree with you. I'll take it from here.
Thank you for letting me do that.
Okay. It's being nice.
Thank you.
All right. Good for this. Yeah. All right. I'll meet up with you later. I don't think it's gonna be that cold on Sunday. It's gonna be in the upper 80s. Let's go to that 7-day forecast. We'll throw off my game right now. All right, here we go. 77 today.
I feel like that would throw me off my game too.
Pretty decent
Yeah.
weather coming through.
The only thing I wish they would have done is like throw like the Fiend like a
Yeah,
real quick
like the
of
image.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he walked off, I thought that's what we were going to get.
No, but very much the same, like Firefly Funhouse type of vibe coming from Bray there. But I just have trouble recognizing him as anything other than the Fiend. Like, even when I talk about him generally, I don't ever refer to him as Bray Wyatt anymore. It's just he's the Fiend. But anyways, that's one of the 3 matches we're going to get on Sunday night. And we'll get to reviewing the Hell in a Cell a little bit later on. Let's talk about the excitement from last night on the WWE side of the fence. If you noticed, on Tuesday and Wednesday, WWE actually promoted this as the season premiere of NXT. Mm-hmm. Even though we got NXT on USA for the past 3 weeks, this was the season premiere of NXT. So
Well, every season has a preseason.
that's true.
So
And
Because, I mean, they only showed, like, the first hour.
Yeah.
last night we got the return of Finn Balor, bringing his name and his prominence back to the yellow brand. And we got to see the face-off there between Matt Riddle to start the show. And I'm drawing a blank. Give me a second here. I can see his face.
What were you saying?
you good?
There you go, Adam Cole.
Come on, man! I wanted to see how far we could drag that one out.
So I'm sitting there. I'm like, he's the NXT champion. I got it right on the tip of my tongue. But nope.
Do you now?
And yeah. So when we go into the rest of NXT, how about the return? And I can see none other than A-Man herself is wearing the advertisement for the Blackheart tonight. Last night, the return of Tommaso Ciampa.
You're there.
Can
You're
you
there.
just be careful? Like how that? What are you doing? It's
Well, it's not. Stop.
so. It's
Come on.
the prominence the prominence there of Tommaso Ciampa returning. I just want to take a second and let's talk about the fact that
I suck at that game.
this guy she can't grab. Never mind. The what?
What'd you say?
That's why I don't.
Oh.
So
It's fair.
how about Tommaso Ciampa coming back from a injury that in all reality has ended every other career? That they have undergone this surgery. This guy goes through it and now is on his way to making an in-ring return to NXT.
Have you followed him and seen the
Oh, yeah.
work that he has
the
put in to get
rehab
back?
process and what he's put
Oh
his
man,
body through?
it's been
Unreal.
amazing every step of the way because he's kind of documented it
yeah,
every step of the
made
way,
it
and it's
public.
been amazing.
And-
So the fact that he's back is not. Yes, it's a surprise because of what the injury was. No, it's not a surprise because of the work that he put in to get back.
Yeah. So, it's not. It is no short feat for him to be able to return. So, congratulations to him.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely. I think a match between those two guys, Adam Cole and Tommaso Ciampa,
What?
I think it's coming.
Oh.
and I thought that the magnitude of the Tommaso Ciampa Johnny Gargano matches was off the Richter scale, but those two guys in the ring together are likely to put Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa to bed.
Very possible. But the match last night with Matt Riddle and Adam Cole was, that was a pretty damn phenomenal match.
Matt Riddle is a remarkable performer, and the only thing is that I think he needs to learn real quick where his place is.
I don't think he knows where his place is.
Because he's even, and it could be all character building, and I'm good with that if that's what it is, but some of the stuff that he has done
I agree.
in shoot interviews, he's burying guys that if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't even be a thing.
Right. No, I absolutely
So-
agree with that.
I just think he needs to earn a little bit of respect there before he goes around trashing other people.
Well, you know what you got to do before you can earn respect.
You got to show it.
You got to show it.
So, that'll be interesting to see where that goes long term. NXT last night, the ratings have already come out today, so it's amazing at how fast when people are paying attention, how quickly you can get information. NXT last night for its 2-hour show drew an average of 866,000 viewers. We'll talk about AEW's numbers when we get down to the AEW segment, but
just wait.
They were not even. They did not even cross the 1 million viewership mark. They did at 2 different points, but they did not sustain it for more than 15 minutes. So their average viewership stuck at 866,000 viewers for the 2-hour segment that NXT ran. Let's put that into comparison and perspective. Raw averages about 3.4 million viewers for its 3-hour segment. Mm-hmm. So there's your comparison. 3.4 million viewers for a 3-hour segment of Monday Night Raw, 866,000 viewers for 2 hours of NXT.
I don't see it staying there for a really extended period of time. I don't. And I will elaborate more on that in a little bit.
Okay. So, anybody else's thoughts on that number coming out of last night?
I'm not really concerned by it at all.
Okay.
I think it's just going to climb.
Yeah.
I think, as all things do, I mean, again, this will make more sense when we give the other number for AEW. I think in time it's going to balance out.
Yeah.
Right. And that it's one of those new things again.
Just go ahead and give the number, because none of this is making sense to anybody who's listening and doesn't know the numbers.
Because me and you are on the same page.
Right.
So
I think she's
866,000 viewers, the average viewership for NXT last night. 1.4 million was the viewership for AEW.
So now it can make sense. And like I said, I didn't know how big of a discrepancy there would be, obviously. But I figured there would be one because we knew what NXT was coming with.
That's true.
We knew what
Still
NXT...
got some surprises.
Well, yeah, but we knew...
But it was NXT as
basically,
usual.
we knew what they were coming with. And and every time they're on, it's amazing. Every time. We didn't really know what AEW was coming with. So, me personally, I liked NXT better than I liked AEW. But, to give a fair shot, I watched all of AEW in its entirety, all the way through, did not flip back and forth. Just, to really, I didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
And I think there were 1.4 million people that did the same thing. And there may be other, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that don't like WWE, that don't like NXT, and that's fine. I think what we have now, because AEW was not bad. I mean, I think it could have been better, but it wasn't bad. I think what we have now, everybody's saying this is a great time to be a wrestling fan, and it is.
It's a wonderful time to be a
because
wrestling
now,
fan.
for the first time in many years, you've got a choice.
Yeah.
You now have a choice. You don't have all these people that complain about having shit crammed down their throat by Vince McMahon. Well, now you don't have to. Mm-hmm. Now let's see. You don't have to pick a side. Watch them both.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Smokey, what are your thoughts on that difference there?
I think, I'm not saying that AEW is bad. I just think they were higher because it's new. It was their first ever show. So, of course, I expected them to have more viewers than NXT. But, like Double K was saying, I think it'll balance out.
Okay. So, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about AEW and Dynamite here in just a minute. Let's finish up our WWE conversation. WWE did announce today, there's a very subtle change to the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. It is actually no longer a thing. It is no longer the WWE NXT or the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. It is now the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. So I don't know if we're going to get a different belt out of it, but
I hope so. I'm not a big fan of the belt that they have now.
But they did announce that today that next week we will get an NXT Cruiserweight Championship match. So now a definitive change to the name of that title, which actually is probably long overdue.
But it fits there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
It fits there. Like it just.
That's 70% of their roster
yeah.
are cruiserweights.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's be real. In all fairness to him, Johnny Gargano, cruiserweight.
Sure.
He's not a heavyweight champion guy.
Well, I don't. There's only maybe 3-4 guys, prominent guys on that roster that you can consider heavyweight champions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Hell in a Cell, we talked briefly on that earlier. 3 matches that are on the card. We'll review those quickly because there's not much to review. Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. Who's your pick, Double K?
I'm still torn if we even get a real match.
Okay.
So I haven't decided yet. If there's going to be a winner, I think you have to put it on The Fiend, because if you don't, and you do,
You've ruined it.
And you do have him lose cleanly. If you have him lose at all, you have completely screwed that.
Yeah. I mean, you've ruined it. Hey, man?
I feel the same way. But it sucks because I don't want to see Seth lose right now either.
Well, I think the best hope is.
But out of the two, The Fiend can't lose.
No, he just can't lose.
I think we're all on the same page on this one.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think The Fiend has to take it here. I don't see how the match doesn't end cleanly when it's inside of a Hell in a Cell.
Right.
You never know.
Although,
I've seen some
There's
crazy.
We've seen stranger things happen in a Hell in a Cell, like a referee calling a rope break, which blows my mind that you would call a rope break in a Hell in a Cell match.
What if let's play fantasy wrestling right now?
It's a really strong marker.
She's over there
can
sniffing the
smell it through
paper.
the paper.
She was like sniffing right between the cracks of the paper.
It smells like tacos.
Second match of the evening, another Hell in a Cell match. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks
Got that pink sauce.
for the Raw Women's Championship.
Pink marker.
So, your take on that, Smokey Z, we'll start with you. You going with Becky Lynch or the boss, Sasha Banks?
I think Sasha takes it.
Yeah?
Blue versus orange.
Sasha lost her... No, she won that first Hell in a Cell match with Charlotte Flair.
Mm-hmm.
So does she...
Did she win?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty 98%.
I'm pretty sure she won. Because I remember the end of the match of her slinging Charlotte onto the table that wouldn't break.
Oh, that was that match?
Yeah, that was that match.
That was brutal. They must have had the same
So-
tables that AEW had.
No, those would have broken on the first touch of the finger.
No, they literally nothing broke except for that glass table.
Well, yes. But if you look at I'm just thinking of, the styrofoam barrels that they had at All Out.
I hope they never do that again.
For the Cracker Barrel Country Fight.
What in the hell?
It's Virginia.
So,
It is.
um,
It is.
you know,
Who you going, Sasha, Becky?
I mean, really, do you have to ask her that question?
Sometimes. Benefit of the doubt.
You have to go Sasha here.
You delegitimize her return
Yeah.
with a loss here.
But you have to because, like we've said before,
It's time.
after Becky beats Sasha, if that's the way they go, who else?
Who's next?
Especially now that NXT is their own show.
Yeah.
Because before we could play with the option of,
Shayna.
Shayna or whoever.
Double
Yeah.
K?
Now that we're all in agreement for the first time ever, collectively as a group, on anything
Two in a
other than
row.
the Fiend,
Yeah.
here's let's ask this
That's why I
real
said anything
question.
other than the Fiend.
Because she's never done it. Does Sasha defend it on Monday, or
And
does
that's
she?
what I'm saying,
Or
that's
does she
why-
lose it on Monday in her very terse?
No, but
Very terse.
very terse.
And her very terse defense.
Damn it!
Yeah, very terse.
I threw a marker in my own face, and I said terse. Anyway,
Are you glitching?
I might be.
But no, that's why I think she has to win, because she has to be a dominant heel now.
Yeah, I agree.
Not in the same aspect as everyone else, like a brawler type, but just a champion who can defend her title and successfully,
I think.
and go on and be successful.
Yeah, I think they finally have given her the attitude needed
But yeah, exactly.
for her to do that, for her to go on and defend it, and
And then you can drag this out even farther, because then Becky's going to want to come back for it. So, or next week we have the draft.
Yeah?
yeah,
So Becky or
Sore?
Sore.
sore,
Sore.
sore we do. But terse. Let's talk about this.
I love it. I love it.
Now I forgot. Actually, I had a good point I was getting ready to make,
I
and
feel like I was leaving
Gone.
somewhere.
I mean, who knows? So,
the point was, I think you may have been the one that said it. You know, Becky is. I agree with. If you said it, I agree that Becky is better as an underdog.
In chase mode.
You're right. She's a better
and Ann
chaser.
actually made that point.
No, nice, good point.
Thanks.
I think she's a better chaser than she is a champion. And she hasn't been a bad champion. I like her as champion, but
I'm over it at this point.
Yeah.
I think her steam and her momentum comes from the chase, not from being a front runner.
Her character is
'Cause it's
better
kind of
in
just-
chase mode.
But she could still go on being the face without being the champion.
Absolutely.
Just look at Roman.
Look at how long John Cena
So,
did it.
Well, exactly. So you don't have to be the champion.
Yeah, I don't
No.
think we can use Cena, but he's got 47 championships.
Well, that's true.
I don't think we can use that example.
That's true. Well, I mean, you got to give JBL's son some credit for something.
Because he didn't do it for very long if he had that many title reigns.
That's fair. Last match of the night that's actually listed on the card, which I think is just a complete waste of time. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper.
2 words for you what I would do with this match. Pre-show.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be a good match, and I'm happy
It might
for
be,
Luke
but-
Harper to be back and to be
Who is still
actually
refusing to
doing
re-sign.
something. Well, good for
He's
him,
still
but at least
refusing
he's
to
doing
re-sign.
something now.
Well,
So-
but this might be don't get used to him, because if he's refusing to re-sign, this might be the last time you see him.
No, but that's what I'm
You
saying.
gotta-
Get
you gotta
him on
sign
TV
to
a
compete.
little bit more, and then hey, you can go somewhere else now.
Yeah.
Literally.
So that wraps up WWE's Hell in a Cell card.
Wait. Hold up. You've got another point on here that
Yeah, I said WWE's Hell in a Cell
Okay,
card.
all right. We thought you were moving on there.
No, I didn't.
Because
I wrote the run sheet.
I was
that's on
going
it.
to say, I said you've got another point there to talk about.
So
Faith in you, Tommy.
the next
No,
point,
you didn't.
I
He was
did.
moving.
That's why I didn't try and
It's easy to say that now.
the next point that I have on the run sheet is there is the rumor mill is just running rampant right now.
You even put your poster back up in your room, didn't you?
with there's no poster in my room.
Got your
That's the
CM Punk
cardboard
underwears out?
That's his cardboard cutout. The fat head on the wall.
Yeah.
Anyways,
His tape.
Got his tape back down.
just moments before we went on air tonight, I was able to do a little bit of digging, and it looks, as of this particular moment, that CM Punk has indeed signed with Fox to be the FS1 representative on WWE's show, which is no longer being called The Bump.
It's called the Pipe Bomb.
Nope, it's being called Backstage Pass.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was originally.
So the
Wasn't there
original...
another talk show or something out there that had a backstage pass
So...
at some point?
mistake?
Well, there was one, but it was not. It was adult oriented.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
but-
I'm pretty sure UFC had.
How does he
That
know
maybe.
that?
Right.
This is what bothers me.
So, but anyways,
You just tell on your cell
that-
phone.
no.
I never heard of an adult.
I didn't know.
backstage pass.
Just Google it, man.
I don't need to.
No, I don't want to Google it.
I already know enough.
So,
Nico?
that Nico could probably write a book on it. But so
Says, I'm just going to sit over here.
anyways, everybody knows how I feel about Phil Brooks, CM Punk, and what he did when he left the WWE. There were 2 very interesting interviews that I have observed this past week. One of which was an interview where he was questioned about his relationship with WWE and the potential of going back to the company, which before this past week he was always very adamant that he would never do. Both Phil Brooks and Triple H this week have said that both sides are willing to bury the hatchet and move forward.
400 and how many $1 million?
$480 million was the price tag on the Fox agreement.
I think if you remember within our group, I said money talks.
Yeah, $480 million was the price on the Fox agreement. All signs point now that CM Punk has signed with Fox to serve as a co-host on the FS1 show for WWE. Triple H came out just yesterday and said, or last night or this morning, and said that WWE is willing to bury the hatchet and forgive all previous engagements between the two parties if there's an interest in him returning. For the first time, he made a public acknowledgement that if WWE wanted to talk to him about a return, he would be willing to listen. He is not interested in an in-ring return. But he would be willing to do something else for the company.
So
I think everybody else in this group would agree
For now.
that money talks, and if somebody were to offer enough money, if you can get Shawn Michaels after 5 years to come out of retirement,
I was about to say the same thing.
He read the contract wrong.
so,
He meant to sign the decline, and he signed the
wrong line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He signed the wrong line.
Such an ass. So, but anyways, I think if he signs anything with the company at all, I think this is definitely a way. And kudos to Fox for trying to be the middleman here and bring the two parties to the table together. So we released
$180 million
on our social
and bring a lot of people together.
On our social media today, earlier this evening, we released that there would be a revelation that Tommy T would reveal tonight. I'm going to tell you that the revelation that I'm going to reveal is that I'm okay with CM Punk coming back into WWE in a non-competitive role. Because his character and everything he did against the company involved his in-ring work. So if the guy coming back to the company means that he is just as willing as WWE to bury the hatchet and move forward, that means no side comments or quick jabs at the company when you get the opportunity.
Oh, what fun is that?
But actually moving forward in a professional manner, then I can get on board with him having involvement with the company.
All right, so let's take bets now. We were talking about before we went on air. How long is it before he's back in a ring?
I don't think he gets... Now, in a ring competing or just in the ring?
Competing. Why in the hell would I care if he gets in the ring
Just to talk.
in a suit with a
Well,
microphone?
because you're also somebody who doesn't like to lose, so I could completely see you as being the person and said, well, I said he'd be back in the ring in 5 months. He's standing in it right now, so I win. That would be what you would do. So, no, don't deny it. That's exactly what you would do. So that's why I was asking.
Shit, you might have me on that one.
That's why I was asking.
No, competing.
To clarify.
Competing.
So, competing, I don't think he does.
All right,
No time in the future at which point I'm willing to put a time on.
Well, let's make a deal right here for everybody to hear.
Okay?
Since you don't think he will, and I think he will, if he gets back in the ring, okay, for whenever that is, whatever match that it is, if it's close enough for us to go, we go. If we have to sit and watch it here, obviously we will. But if he gets back in the ring to compete, you have to wear a T-shirt. You have to put on a CM Punk T-shirt and tape your fists. Come on.
Sorry, I'm distracted by something completely different at the moment, but let me get this right.
I'm gonna need you to focus.
I'm trying to focus at the moment, but I got...
Tell her to stop texting. Tell her to stop texting you.
So, all right, here we go. Let me repeat what I heard you say.
Oh, this could get rough.
You said if he competes in the ring and it's close enough to us to go,
we go.
We go.
Or we have to watch it here. Either way, we're going to sit and watch it.
Okay. And I have to wear a T-shirt. You didn't say what kind.
I did. I changed it and said CM Punk T-shirt.
So I have to wear a CM Punk T-shirt. Doesn't matter what kind of CM Punk T-shirt. So I can wear one with him, being thrown under a bus for all I care.
Well, because they make those.
I can get one made.
You can't make it. It has to be licensed by WWE.
It's making it more difficult. And I've got to tape my fists.
Just like that.
And put the X on it.
Just like that. I'll even draw the X on for you.
I bet you will. So I'm going to agree to your bet on one condition.
I know where this is headed.
On one condition.
All right.
If Sami Zayn
Stop. Knew it.
wins any championship title
Ooh.
between now and WrestleMania, you have to dress as Sami Zayn at WrestleMania in Tampa.
Hold on. I'm not wearing tights or boots, but I would do the shirt. And I'll wear the stupid freaking little hat that he wears.
Okay. I can get on board with that. And so if you're not going to wear the tights and boots, I'll give you that.
Dye his beard.
But, no, he doesn't have to dye the
I'll
beard.
shave the damn thing. I won't have to. There won't be a beard for that.
And you have to dance
I knew
in
that was coming.
front of the Buccaneers Stadium to Sammy's entrance song.
Well, not
All
for
right.
yours isn't
That's-
as bad.
Well,
That's- I've got to wear something that might as well be
Well,
dark
so
crap.
You need to.
since I have to wear and dance, you have to wear and deliver your own pipe bomb speech in CM Punk fashion, Indian style.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Where?
But we don't know when he's going to compete.
Okay. Deal.
Deal.
And we've got, witnesses, hundreds of them.
Yeah.
We got it on camera.
Yep.
So we can always go back.
That's a fun. That's a good one right there.
So, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap up our WWE conversation for the night. We're going to move on to AEW. So, last
Wouldn't
night...
that suck for you if Sami Zayn won a title on Sunday?
Hey, I'm a man of my word, though.
But could it be the
Because-
24/7 title? Because that is a championship.
any
That's
title.
a
He said
championship.
any title. Any
I
title.
said any championship.
It's okay. I'm good. I'm good with it.
Please
So-
make sure you tell me so I'm there.
Well, if we're doing this show in front of Raymond James Stadium, you kind of have to be there, right?
And that's a necessity.
Yeah, sure.
So AEW's Dynamite debut last night on TNT. Just want to make a real quick note. The last time wrestling was shown live on TNT was March 26th, 2001. That was the last time wrestling was live on TNT. What was the significance of that date? What was that the last show of?
WCW.
Nitro.
Monday Night Nitro. So last night marked the first time in almost 20 years that wrestling has been on TNT. It did not seem that long ago until I thought about that as I was writing this out. Almost 20 years that WCW's been gone. And last night was Dynamite's debut. Now, we're going to go ahead and say, we already talked about their viewership. 1.4 million viewers was their average. We're going to kick this off with our biggest AEW advocate in the room, which was there last night for Dynamite show in Washington, D.C. She actually met one of our fans from our show in D.C. It's always cool when we can go places and folks recognize us. Double K and I have been to events down towards Virginia Beach where people actually walk up and call us by our names here of Tommy T and Double K. So it's always an interesting feeling. It's fun to have that interaction. So you got to experience that for the first time last night. Now, what were your thoughts as a fan in the Capital One Arena last night, present for the first ever AEW televised weekly program?
Being there was exciting. And as I say that, it's kind of hard because each show you go to is exciting in its own way. But this one just had like a different vibe. Like everyone was just happy to be there. Like you didn't get the vibe that it was a show that some people are there just because their kids want to be there, or there just because like, all right, it's Wednesday night, not really doing anything else, let's go. Like a casual fan. Everyone who was there last night wanted to be there, and it felt that way. I haven't gone back and watched the show on TV yet, so I don't know how everything came off, but man, being there, and I was right near the ramp, dude, it was unreal. And
Yeah.
it's cool because like where I was, I could hear like the production guys, and at some points like this one dude was like really pissed off, like F-bombs, everything. It was like, wow. I'll tell you that part later. But it was just cool because you got to see like kind of like behind the scenes too, like where I was sitting. So it was pretty neat. But I don't know. When I was there, it was like, and being in the arena and thinking of what NXT looked like on TV last week, just the size alone, like you feel that AEW is a bigger deal than NXT, and it hurts, like it breaks my heart to say it because I'm WWE all the way, but and I don't think that's really going to be a bad thing because everyone expected it right now. Like, Full Sail, the size, like, it's not something new. And I think eventually they'll start touring, or maybe not.
They announced 100%. Touring dates today.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Didn't take long.
Yeah, and that was to be expected. And, of course, last night, I think everyone should have expected AEW to get a significant rating. And as they should, as they deserve. I think it was a good show. I think it was a great show. But, again, that could be biased because I was there.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a bad show for, watching it at home. So I can imagine being there and being able to feel all that energy.
And just the excitement alone. Yeah. Because even during matches, especially in the matches after the live broadcast ended, the women's tag match that they had kind of dragged. And it went over, I think it was 13, 14 minutes, each of their bonus matches, how they call it. They were at least 10, 15 minutes. Each, because we didn't get out of there until almost a little after 11, actually. But even then, people were still excited to be there. No one left. They stayed throughout the entire.
I think I heard them say at the beginning there were 14,000 plus there. Is what they announced on TV.
14,738.
Is that what it was?
A sign. It said the max occupancy was 23,000. So you got to think with the stage and the setup and everything. It was a legit.
Because that was a big setup.
Oh yeah, and looking around, there was only a few random seats in the top sections that were open, but dude, everything it was stacked.
That's cool.
But what did you guys think? Because I haven't really heard your guys' take on it, and I know yours is probably.
We're gonna hold yours.
And I'm not gonna say the whole show was great. There were some things that could have been done differently.
But there's always things.
It was a bad show at all.
There's always things that can be done differently and better.
Yeah.
And I tried as hard as I could to just watch it as a fan, and I did pretty good with it. I didn't really sit there and pick this match and that match. I thought it had a very WCW feel watching it at home, and it had nothing to do with listening to Tony Schiavone. Although that did kind of lend itself to giving it, but I felt, especially in probably the first 30, 45 minutes, somebody was referencing WCW a lot. And they did mention WCW a lot.
It was Tony.
Yeah, I mean, he brought WCW into the show a lot. The ring had a WCW feel to it to me. Black ropes. But if you go back and watch it, just the way the ring sounded, the way the ring bounced, it didn't seem it's different. It was different to me than a WWE ring. And that may sound stupid. No. But it definitely it seemed a lot more stiff, and it just seemed like a WCW ring.
Did it look like Big League though? I've seen a few clips, but did it look and
it did. I mean the entire setup made it look that way.
But then too, you have to think. Not every week they're going to be in an arena the size of Capital One, and it's not going to be that.
They're
big.
going. When do they go? Boston or Philly next, right?
But they're not.
Yeah, but they don't have the seating capacities
Wells
that.
Fargo. You're
talking facilities that are 16 to 18,000 seat capacities versus one that's 23,000.
I mean, if you strip it down, you were asking if it looked big league. If you really strip all the stuff away from it, it's a squared circle.
Yeah.
In the middle of 14,000 people, it's what's put around it that makes it look big league. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, other than that, it's just the ring. So, yeah, I mean, as far as production value goes and things like that, yeah, it did. You could tell the money was spent and it paid off. But, I thought I had a hard time getting into some of the matches.
Was that because you didn't know the characters?
No, I was into the night more than I was the individual matches. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, definitely.
I thought it was a huge night for wrestling in general. Not just AEW, but we said it earlier on the show. I mean, now is a really great time to be a wrestling fan. Here's what I will say, because I didn't want to come on our show and just tear it down. This is where I'm going to go, and then I'm going to pass it off. I think if they continue to try to go head-to-head with WWE with a show like they put on last night, they will get eaten alive. I didn't think the actual show itself was that great.
And that's what I've heard.
Yeah. So I feel like if they have to improve on that, they can't stay where they're at and think that that's enough because they absolutely dominated ratings last night. Mm-hmm. Don't get caught up in that one victory because that's one.
And I don't think they will.
I hope not, because I want this to work. I want more wrestling for all of us to watch.
Yeah.
So, next.
Really quick, one more thing.
I'm going to let Smokey go before I go.
Okay.
I can't really say anything. I watched 2 matches out of the whole show, so
Nico's going to beat you.
I don't care.
Is everything okay?
He
Does anyone
said just bring 4 of them.
No.
Give him what he wants.
Real deep like.
No. Oh my God. Go.
I was just going to ask, was anyone else surprised that Jon Moxley wasn't really shown that much?
No.
Or do you think he should have been shown more? Or like in a more
I
prominent
think
role?
when he was shown was kind of confusing. Because you had this big main event match.
But it made sense. Like, we all expected him to interfere to cost Kenny the match. But and the thing that was really
But it
weird
didn't
was-
cost anybody the match.
That's what I was about to say. Like, that was the thing that really confused me because I thought, I was like, oh, it's only
cost the match.
9:45 and he just came in and interrupted the match. So
Nope.
now it's over. But
Nope.
they just continued. So that was kind
Well,
of
and it
weird,
just
but-
continued without any sort of like a commissioner announcement or executive.
Yeah, or
the
even
match
a
will
referee,
continue
just
as a 3-on-2 handicap match or something like that. Nope.
Yeah.
Once it happened, you never saw those guys again. They fought back through the arena. He puts Kenny through the little glass coffee table.
Which looked brutal. Like,
It
at
did.
least
I
the
mean,
camera angle that
it
we had,
looked
like-
good, but then
But then that was it.
poof, that's it. And then the match just keeps going. I don't know.
That was one of the
It was a
main things
little
that
weird. It
stuck
was a
out.
little weird.
With how much they show that their wrestlers are in control and the referees are going to be like the ones dictating, like, you know, and like giving the referees more power.
Well, and Kenny had just come out at the end of the women's
match.
He had just come out to lend assistance, and then he went in the back, and then he comes right back out. Like,
Yeah.
I get if you're going to be an executive, but if you're also one of the key performers, don't be the executive during the damn show.
I think that is going to have...
Or at least right before your first ever main event.
But
Like,
I think that's going to have a story to it. I think that's going to show, because he is the one who's in control of the women's division and the one focusing on it.
He
So
trained Nyla Rose.
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, I mean,
But-
that's all well and good, but still, like, there's got to be some separation.
Yeah.
You know, when Triple H is
Well-
wrestling, you know, when he's wrestling, he's not the COO. He doesn't go back and forth. He doesn't run out in the middle of a beatdown, 3 or 4 guys, and get in the middle of the match, and then go to the back and, oh, let me put my
And at least
vest
space
back
it
on.
out. Like, if you're going to have him run out, like, don't let it be
Yeah, I mean, it
back
just,
to back.
I didn't like that part. That was one of the parts that I just really didn't like, but that's why. It had nothing to do with who came out or why he came out. Like, send Dean Malenko out. Send some freaking body else in a suit. You know, don't run out there in your ring gear because you're getting ready for your match and then immediately walk to the back and then come out and do your entrance. Just stay in the damn ring. I don't know. I didn't like that part, if you can tell.
And it makes sense, though.
Just saying.
Makes total sense. All right, go ahead. I know you're just, like,
Delegation.
waiting to just, like,
Look, you got
let
anything in that
loose.
Mountain Dew over there?
So here's the thing. Last night, AEW's Dynamite debut.
Dying of thirst.
I literally, make that a couple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just bring a few.
Okay.
Um,
Getting a little parched.
so here you go. I've made no mistake in the past several weeks of telling people exactly how I felt about AEW. As far as fact is going as far as to say that they were a knockoff ECW. I made a decision last night to take my critical hat off, and I recorded NXT and watched AEW in its entirety, and I did it as a fan. And here's my review of AEW and their product that they delivered last night.
I don't feel like this is going to be profound. I feel it's going to be like
I feel like
a word or two.
a bomb is about to drop.
If AEW
TNT.
makes every attempt to combat WWE, then they will fail
Yeah.
on every level. However, if they brand themselves as an alternative, which is what got them to the dance to begin with, is that they were an alternative, not a competing product, an alternative. And they continue with the production value that they presented last night. Mm-hmm. They build their characters. They drive good stories and continue to develop their brand, again, as an alternative, not a competing product. Then AEW will go on to probably outlive WCW.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If they brand themselves as an alternative. If they try to compete, which to me, let me explain to you what that looks like. If they try to compete, means that they're trying to do what WWE does, then they will fail. Because let's be real, Tony Khan's got a ton of money, but he doesn't have the sponsors, and he doesn't have $480 million of Fox's money.
And to your point really quick, before I forget, I think the other advantage that WWE has is Vince has done this before when he wasn't financially stable like he is now, when he didn't have
He knows exactly
power.
what to do.
He knows exactly what to do. He can call The Rock, which is what he did for Tomorrow. He can call Stone Cold. Now, where back in the day, he didn't have those established stars to call on for a ratings pop.
Right, he was building those established stars. Right,
so he was building them. Now, he has more of an advantage to literally go after AEW. And AEW is fighting NXT, not Raw or SmackDown.
Right.
Which I think people don't really emphasize enough. Like, they're saying AEW and WWE, but it's not. It's AEW and NXT, which is, of course, WWE,
Sure.
but it's not Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, so I go back to my statement that I said. If they stop trying to compete with WWE and they offer an alternative product, which, again, is what got them to the dance to begin with, was an alternative. If you try to align and do what WWE does, you will fail. Because you're not going to be able to throw enough money at it to beat them. You're not going to be able to attract enough advertisers to beat them.
You can, but for how long?
But you won't, and here's why. You have a whole set of demographic of advertisers that WWE will partner with because of their rating. Because you expand to a family demographic. AEW doesn't have that. So you are, for business purposes, eliminating an entire sector of advertisers because they're not going to sponsor your product.
Which is what they did going into it. Like, that was their mindset.
Absolutely. So, again, if they try to compete, they will fail. AEW's success will be profound if they provide and offer an alternative product. So last night we got a combination of it. It did very much, to Double K's point, have a WCW feel to it. Everything from the way the lighting was done to the cheap pyro, which AEW just has to get better at because it's been awful the whole time.
The fire looked good, but the fireworks, not so
They were
good.
cheap.
Well,
They
fireworks
reminded me,
look like they
But then I
stopped by
thought
a
it would make
fireworks stand
Yeah.
in South Carolina.
like, I wouldn't have been surprised if there was
It's hard to
somebody
make
lighting
fire
them.
look bad, though.
Right.
Well, yeah.
But
Right.
it wouldn't have surprised me if somebody was running by lighting them with a flare. Because they looked cheap. And I said that when they did the whole, and I still say it was very cheaply done, the whole throne segment with Cody. The way they did the pyro and the just... Imagine what that particular segment would have looked like on a WWE stage. They would have blown it to pieces.
Literally blown
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. So the fact that that AEW hasn't really found the groove on that yet. Now, I'm going to give you all the great things that I think I saw last night. One, the production value was there. They clearly invested the money, the time, and the effort to deliver a quality product on television. The kickoff to the show was outstanding. There were a couple of botched moves in several of the matches, but we get that on WWE too, so that's not fair to hold against them. Mm-hmm. There were... I'll tell you flat out that AEW needs to just scrap the entire women's title and come up with something new, because I'm going to repeat to what I said to you earlier. That thing reminds me of what I would go to Roses as a kid and find on there that belonged to some strange, no-named wrestling organization with Stretch Armstrong's body attached to it. And it looked like one of those belts.
I'm going to need you to update the store because nobody has a clue that's listening what you're talking about.
It was a Roses, so that really means that it was a low-grade Big Lots.
Fair.
Low-grade Big Lots.
It was just so tiny.
Thank you, Nico, for bringing it up on the monitor there.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw it. So.
Now, but here's the problem. When you look at that belt in that picture, it doesn't look... I don't like the way it looks, but it doesn't look awful. No. When you see somebody holding it...
Yeah, right. It's tiny.
Right.
It looks... pathetic. I'm pretty sure that the lightweight title that Taka Michinoku carried in WWE was bigger than that belt.
Yeah. Had to be.
I'm pretty sure that I like the 24/7 title more than I like that belt. Yeah. And that belt's awful. So I do think that AEW, I don't like the designs of their titles at all, but I think that one does not even...
Have you seen the tag titles?
Yeah. They don't even hail in comparison to their world title, which I get it. I'm okay with it. But that title right there is insulting to anybody who you put it on. I'm pretty sure that I got a title just like that out of a Cracker Jack box at a Flying Squirrels game.
All right, so now that you got all that out of your system, I want you to tell us how you really feel.
I feel that AEW, last night, if they continue to offer an alternative product, then they will be very successful. The quality of the matches was not there as much as I would have liked for it to have been. I enjoyed the show as a fan. I really did, because you want to know why? Because when I took the critic hat off and I just watched it as a fan, it was just like the 90s of watching wrestling, of switching back and forth from WWE to WCW. That's what it reminded me of.
Right.
I could have gone back to WCW, and you still can today if you go on the WWE network and you pull up an old WCW pay-per-view, and I can pick those apart too.
Oh,
sure.
But I can also go on and pick apart a WWE pay-per-view.
I was about to say, yeah.
So
with any pay-per-view.
AEW's no different. What I made the conscious decision to do last night was to take my critic hat off and say, you know what, I just want to be a fan. Let me watch the show, and I'll take away what I take away from it. What I took away from it is it's great to have wrestling on different levels again. Mm-hmm. That's what I took away from it. They clearly have a very determined path of where they want to go, and I appreciate that. And I'm very grateful as a wrestling fan to have a different product than WWE, because Impact Wrestling was and has been a joke. Ring of Honor tries, but I think Ring of Honor is comfortable right where they are. Same with the NWA. They're kind of right there on that level. Mm-hmm. You can't compare WWE to any other wrestling organization. And here's why. WWE is an entertainment platform that has more access to media platforms, more exposure, more partnerships and advertisements than any wrestling company could dream of, because they don't have the wealth, the power, or the tenure that Vince McMahon and his companies have. So I can't expect AEW to be WWE. And what I learned last night is I don't want them to be. I want them to be something different. I don't want to have to switch back and forth between WCW and WWE. I want to see AEW be their own. Be an alternative. Be something different. That's what made you. If you try to go too mainstream and be WWE, you will lose. Because the reason why you're even relevant is you were different. You offered something different than what we were getting. So stick with it. Don't try to compete. To me, WWE became the much bigger man today by congratulating AEW on a successful launch. And to quote WWE, the winners of last night were the fans. So Chris Jericho
I
can...
think it was the last line. Because it's true.
Yeah.
You know, you could call it them being petty or taking a shot, but it's whatever it is, it's the truth. You know? Longevity.
WWE is a beast of a whole different level. And that was what I came to the conclusion of as I watched the program last night, and then I started rewatching some of NXT afterwards, was I don't want AEW to be NXT. I don't want them to be Raw. I don't want them to be SmackDown. I want them to be AEW.
And is it weird that when I was there last night, like, I felt guilty for being there? Like, I told my friend, I was like, I don't, like, when we were waiting outside, I was like, this isn't a WWE show. Like, this is, like, we're at Capital One for a wrestling show that's not WWE. And, like, being in there and not seeing anything WWE related, it was just the craziest
I bet that
feeling.
was weird.
Yeah, it was
I do.
so weird.
So, I had been, when I was a
I
kid,
felt so guilty.
when I was a kid, I remember going to Nitro. I remember going to Thunder.
Like to the actual show?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
To the actual shows. Because Double K and I were, we were kids. So we were old enough to remember that.
That's true.
So,
He was in his teens.
that's still a kid.
Okay.
So,
Late teens. Almost 20.
so
Got him!
one of the biggest things that I learned last night about myself was that the biggest mistake I ever made was expecting AEW to compete.
To what?
To compete.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I literally took every, and I even look back at it, and you guys know I'm always one to admit when I'm wrong, to admit that when I have to correct myself, I will. When I looked back at what I had said about AEW, what I found was that I still stand by what I said in the context of which I said it. And that context was I was comparing them to WWE. What I learned last night was I should have never been doing that.
And I think just even the thought that we can compare them to WWE is an accomplishment in and of itself.
It should
Just
be.
even,
It should be. Absolutely.
And I don't think that gets enough credit either. Like, it's just automatically assumed, like, oh, it's a war. We're comparing. Like, guys, they just started a few months ago.
So it's... Well, but it's also a very different world now than it was in 2001. I mean, social media now does more for you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Than
they
anything
definitely
else
had more
will.
advantages than
I mean,
they
we're-
did 20 years ago, but in the same token, they had more
We get listened to
downfalls.
at, this is a... I owe AEW and every AEW follower an apology.
It's okay, Tommy T. I forgive you.
Because I was bracing everything on the context.
And you said I was going to be wasting 2
hours of my life that I
yeah.
would never get back and that you would never get back.
Yeah.
And I watched it. But that also shows you that I'm willing to give something a chance,
Right.
despite the fact that I had written them off. And so, again, I took my critic hat off last night and I said, you know what, I just want to watch this as a fan and see what happens. And I enjoyed it. I think there
I'm
was
glad
some...
you enjoyed it.
I think there was some... There was some bad spots in it. There were some very poor matches. I still have some booking questions as to why you would do certain things.
Oh, well, you should be happy you didn't see the bonus matches.
I'm probably glad I didn't. But
Yeah, I didn't hear a lot of good things about those. I really didn't.
I have some questions about that. But again, that's why I said if they continue to develop their characters and they actually get behind telling a story. And here's another part of telling the story. Jim Ross is an old school commentator, so I need him to do me a really big favor. And that favor is in-ring psychology is a thing. Telling a story in the ring between the
Was
ropes
he really
is a
crapping
thing.
on it, like, the whole
He
time?
was tearing apart and here's how simple it is. But modern day wrestling fans don't get this because a lot of them just look for big spots and moves and high points. But the whole purpose of professional wrestling is telling a story. Between the ropes. That's what you do. That's why your performers are good at what they do. They tell a story.
That's the point.
Right, exactly.
That's why we watch.
Yeah. So when you're a commentator, and then a wrestler throws another one on the ground via whatever move, and then doesn't go for the cover, immediately goes up to the top rope because they're building to whatever that story is. As a commentator, don't say, I have no idea why he's going to the top rope. He should have just pinned the guy.
Yeah.
You're literally tearing apart the psychology of the match.
And that was my issue with. I don't remember which one it was.
So
pay-per-view that
now,
they had, but he was just all over them.
Out of the three of them,
He's been
I'm going to
sent by
tell
Vince
you
to destroy.
that you either need to pull JR off commentary or pull Excalibur, because the two of them have zero chemistry between each other.
Well, and it seemed
Zero.
at times that JR was disinterested in the entire thing.
He just didn't enjoy the.
It didn't. He didn't. There were times, not the
He
entire
sounded disappointed at
And I
times.
kind of have a. I'm sorry.
He almost was having the "what the hell am I doing here" kind of moment. It just he was not the good old JR that everybody remembered and wanted. He really just sounded disinterested and like he was questioning why he was even there.
Did you guys get to see them come out? Like, did they announce them? Like, give them an entrance? No. So when they announced the three of them, they all came out together. Tony looked so excited to be there.
He seemed excited.
Excalibur looked so excited to be there. JR, like, he waved once and, like, took his hat off. But other than that, he just stood there, didn't wave when everyone else was just, like, waving. Like, it was right before the show. Like, they're announcing them come out
And
to start the show.
maybe
and
he had a
just
bad
was
day or whatever, but he really just seemed like he
He was disingenuous.
He was there to collect the paycheck, is what it felt like.
Yeah, out of the two matches I did watch, it's just listening to him, I was kind of expecting the whole him being excited and putting like emphasis into the match like he used to, and it just wasn't there. And I was like, this.
And that's not an AEW fault.
No.
That's his fault.
Yeah. It's
Especially
kind
with
of
the
made
freedom that
it.
he has
That's
now.
on him. Yeah, he could do whatever he wanted to do.
It kind of made it like oh well.
Tony Schiavone sounds like he never changed.
He sounded
Really?
exactly the same. Yeah.
And did you notice he was the one doing the interviews? Or did you guys see him
Yeah.
on the ramp? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So one of the things that I found was interesting last night as I was watching the show was there were moments where I'm watching the match, and all of a sudden, like I'm having deja vu, because I'm hearing Tony Schiavone's voice watching a wrestling match on TNT, and it's Cody Rhodes and Sam Guevara.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, like sitting there going, like, God, this really is WCW 2.0.
Yeah.
Because that's what. But it was those types of moments though that brought the fan in me out, because it made me remember what was so great about that point in time in wrestling. Like those were the moments, because it was, it felt like WCW, but then it was like, but this isn't
But it's not.
1997. This isn't 2000 or 2001. This is 2019. And I'm watching wrestling on TNT.
Mm-hmm.
And what made it even worse, you want to talk about nostalgia? Tony Schiavone talking about Chris Jericho
Yeah.
calling moves of Chris Jericho.
Oh, man.
I have not heard that since 1998. 1998. That was 21 years ago.
I just had a flashback to Jericho holding the list in the ring. Remember his, like, 2004?
Yeah.
Or,
When he just kept naming moves and moves and moves.
Yeah, so and then
He was the man of
it
1,001 holds.
it was also seeing like Dean Malenko come out on the ramp, and I'm going, like, it was just all of those things that happened, and I'm going, God, this really does just remind me of what wrestling used to be like. And I'm going to be honest, I forgot.
Yeah. But we haven't had a choice
forgot
in so
what it
long.
felt like.
Well, we've had choices,
But they weren't like this.
but we haven't had a viable choice in a very long time.
The production quality is not the same on any level as far as AEW and WWE goes compared to any of their competitors, period.
No.
It's just not. So, I give a ton of credit to AEW. I give a ton of credit to Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, which still has to learn to stop watching himself in the monitors that are throughout the arena. because you can see him constantly looking back.
You know, I saw Cody do that a couple times last night.
And I get it, but that's where I'm going to side with you, and this is where you need to take the executive hat off and go be a performer.
And go perform.
Because while the fans in the arena may not be able to see that, when you've got a camera that's zoomed in to 2 feet off your face, I can. When I'm sitting at home watching it. So yeah, you're paying dues for the folks that are in the audience, but you also should be paying dues for everybody that's watching, because those 1.4 million viewers aren't going to keep watching if they can tell that you're literally evaluating your product as you're wrestling in the ring. Because then it's moments like that when Cody botches a move, that's what I'm going to attribute it to. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what I'm going to attribute it to, is because you're not paying attention to the match, you're paying attention to the production value. So, and I get it, but if you can't take that hat off, then maybe you should either stop performing or stop being an executive.
Yep.
Because you know what? You know one person who's an ace at it, who you don't ever have to worry about it, is Triple H.
Yep.
When he comes out to that ring to perform, he's a performer.
And that's what I meant. I mean, it's a clear separation of role for him. There is never, ever, and never has been a gray area. I mean, think back to the very first night when he came out in the suit. He still had the slick back hair and the ponytail.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing it then, and it was brand new.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, he didn't even worry about it. Once he steps out as a performer, he is the game Triple H. You know, when he steps behind the scenes, puts the suit on, and that's what he's there to do, then he is Paul Levesque.
Yep.
And it is a 100% clear separation. You know, these guys have a long way to go and a lot to learn. I hope they get there. I want them to get there because I enjoyed having something different last night.
Yeah. So, of course, the big surprise of the night, even though it wasn't that much of a surprise by the time it came around, was the former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Jack Swagger, being called by he's actually being called by a mixture of names. Jack Hager was what they referred to him as, which is a closer rendition of what his actual name is. Mm-hmm. But how about his surprise appearance there at the end of the night?
I thought, for me, that, I hate to say this, that's where I really got into things. Because I felt like something was missing the entire show.
They didn't really have... So you think about one of the things WWE is really good at is having a spark at the beginning of a show to kick things off.
They didn't have it.
AEW didn't have that.
And during commercial breaks, it was so
You had the
bad.
Nitro Girls?
No. WWE...
They do a good
video
job.
Packages.
Yeah.
They have people come out, like they're very interactive, or they have like even it can get pointless at sometimes. And you do see a couple of the same videos, but at least you're listening to something. Sometimes
it's
it wasn't
not dead air.
It wasn't silence, of course, but it was just like just kind of standing there for like 3-4 minutes, like
Well, and
so that was, but that was the first show.
Right, they've got to figure some of that out.
Yeah,
Right.
but that momentum and like talking about that, like that was one of the things I had actually said when I was there. I was like, this is kind of like. All right, like
figuring it out. But there was
yeah.
just a severe lack of intensity
Yeah.
throughout the entire night until that part.
Well, I mean, so you go back to what I said about the cheap pyro. Look at the pyro that AEW kicked off their first Dynamite with versus the pyro that Raw returned with. Just look at the
Brock
difference.
Lesnar's alone.
Yeah, look at the difference between those two.
One thing,
So-
when Goldberg comes out, there's going to be
Yeah.
explosion, and there's going to
So,
be...
it's just one of those things where I think they've got a lot of work to do, but this was their first show. Mm-hmm. And so...
To go back to what you were saying about being there at the commercial break and how, like Raw and SmackDown, they showed their video packages. They didn't always do that because I remember the one time we went to Raw in Richmond and there was during a commercial break and it was just silent in there and I'll never forget it because I thought it was hilarious. A dude screamed out, "Boring," and it echoed through the whole arena.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you're just nitpicking, but it really, because it calms you down. Like, you're excited, but then you're like, all right, it's time to relax now. But then you're like, oh, now I've got to get excited again. Mm-hmm. So, Yeah, it's just I'm sure they'll fix that though.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was their first show.
WWE, when they do it, they have years of a history
Oh, of course.
Right.
to roll
And they-
video footage
of
and
course.
clips and
Right.
packages.
They show you highlights from.
But you know what else? They have stories that they can go ahead and promote weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ahead.
AEW doesn't have that. yet.
AEW doesn't have that.
No,
They
yeah.
don't know what they're doing next week.
They also have their they're like total divas and they're
But
like,
that's what I'm
outside
saying.
of
But
wrestling
we,
shows.
That goes back to my point of you can't compare the two.
Right.
no,
And
I mean
I'm not
there
saying-
there is.
yeah, I'm just saying
I-
that was one night, but that's just one thing I hope they do change, just for the live experience.
Sure, and I appreciate you sharing that, considering you were there last night. You know,
Thank you
it's
for listening to me.
it's it's just one of those things where you know, they've got a lot of things to learn. You know, my ultimate goal is I'd love to be able, as we've changed out this title every episode, we change it out with a new WWE belt. I would love to have an AEW belt.
Well, let's
that we
just
could
follow
put there.
Jericho to the airport and we can have one.
Funny
That's
thing, he left the title in the ring again.
Oh, well, I'd say now he did it on purpose.
No, because you could see, like, that was another thing. The producers were really loud. Like, you could really hear and tell when something, like, when
Didn't go
something,
well?
or, yeah, like, they were being rushed. Because, like, the one producer that was right behind me, he was pissed at one point. He was like, I can't even, because I know I'm going to mess up and say it. So, but he,
He was not happy.
not happy. And then one of the other guys, like, I think it was one of the
Just say
camera guys.
jalapeno
Yeah,
for
no.
the F-bombs.
No. But, yeah, he had to go back and get the title and a few other things that Jericho forgot. But, and then there's a Wiener appearance.
I did see that. Somebody chucked a wiener in the ring at the main
Oh.
event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus.
Why?
Easy double K.
Well, you know that.
Why?
He threw it at me.
That's, no, I'm talking about your statement when you were questioning somebody threw a
wiener?
hot dog in the way.
I didn't even
questioning
say
the
anything because I
wiener.
got something thrown at me.
That's true. Nico threw it at you.
But,
Um,
and Luchasaurus
be just
is
be glad
way
he
over.
didn't throw the L
Is
at
what?
you.
He's got to yell before he does it. Remember how Big Show? He's got to say, "Take this L."
So, anyways, that's going to wrap up both our conversations for WWE and AEW. You know, I glanced through the emails today for our Poke the Bear segment, and I decided that I was going to do something a little different.
I don't like when you change stuff up at the
tonight.
spur of the moment.
So I got to keep you guys on your toes. So tonight's going to be a little bit different for the Poke the Bear
sitting
this
down.
segment. And here's the way it's going to work. Each of us gets to pick a person to ask a question. And whatever question you ask, they have to answer.
Where are the
what?
questions?
You get to choose the person and the question. So we're choosing amongst each other.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Because
So
we already talk about everything every single day.
Yeah, so we're gonna literally struggle to think of a question to ask.
I've already got a question I can ask each one of you.
Well, I'm sure we can come up with one, but
So we're going to start with a man. Actually, no, what we're going to change it. I was going to do a man and Smokey Z. I'm not. I'm going to do Double K and Smokey Z. You can ask Smokey Z anything you want. He has to answer it.
oh, I don't like this.
I'm not good at this.
You couldn't have just stuck with the way we had it.
There were way too many questions for me to sort through, and I did not have the time.
So just picked a random one for everybody.
I'm thinking.
See?
I mean, like I said, I already have a question I can ask each one of you because it doesn't have to be complicated.
Well, I'm trying to uncomplicate it
See?
and not ask what I really want to ask.
Right, that's what I'm like. What can I ask?
Because our show doesn't need to sound like beep, 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 beep.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Oh, man.
All right.
Who's your favorite wrestler of all time and why?
I'm kind of torn either between Sting or Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Got to pick one.
Probably Stone Cold Steve Austin because he was always in your face, didn't care what you had to say. Whatever. Just didn't matter who was in his way, you were going to get moved or run over.
He likes that rebel.
Yeah. All right, Smokey, your turn. In return, you can ask Double K anything you'd like.
So I couldn't ask you the same question because I already know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We
Kick
watched.
somebody
Yeah, I
in
was
the
gonna
back.
say,
And that was kind of the question that I got last week too, though.
Okay, I got one for you.
right.
What's your favorite Hulk Hogan moment ever? Because I know this is your favorite. What's your favorite moment ever?
God, there's so many. In retrospect, no, I have to go because it's not one that you're gonna like really think of.
that's like mainstream popular.
It was the day that he became NWO
Oh, on Nitro.
on Nitro.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, when he abandoned everything that I had ever known,
Came out dressed all in black.
you know, hated every bit of it. But then I was like, oh my God, this is awesome, because then it just went to a completely different
Did
level.
Double K get so angry when he turned?
I did. I had on my little red and yellow shirt, and I ripped it off and I threw it
I
on the
could
floor.
just picture you getting so angry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was pissed. I'm not gonna lie, but because I felt like everything he had ever told me since I was like 5 was a lie. You know,
Didn't mean jack at that
saying my
moment.
prayers, taking my vitamins. You know, being a good American, all those things. I was like, you lying sack of shit. But that's why I said, in retrospect, that was a moment that completely changed the industry entirely across 2 different major companies.
Don't ask questions. Just
And that's what gave us, you know, what we had through the Monday
Yeah.
Night Wars, and
Yeah.
that's what gave us a Stone Cold. That's what gave us The Rock and all those guys, was that moment.
yeah.
And that's what gave us Sting as we know him now.
Absolutely. That's how we got the Crow.
So that moment right there is my favorite Hogan moment.
Okay. That's not one I would have thought you would have picked either. So, amen. It's me and you. So, here's my question for you.
I'm so.
Like, I don't even know it. I don't know why I'm laughing.
It's not bad. It's not. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to pick one former WWE champion that was involved in the Monday Night Wars to never exist.
Like, why? Like, because I don't want him to,
That's
or
your
just
choice.
to?
That's your choice. But you have to get rid of one of them.
It's just so hard. I'm trying to think, like, quickly. I'm gonna.
This is how attached to wrestling she is, that she's having a hard time.
Well, because I keep, like, about to say something, and I'm like, no, because then he did this, and then
Why's
it's
it
like
gotta
that.
be a he?
Because if you remove China, like, okay, like, female-wise in that era, like, Sable, like, whatever, we wouldn't see her boobs with the handprints, fine, whatever.
Right.
Like, stupid stuff.
I can think of one that I would remove and actually
Female?
be a female.
Who?
Okay.
Well, I'm not gonna tell you. It's your
You need
question.
to say first.
Okay,
They have
and,
to-
like, a big person.
They have to
like-
be a former champion.
Oh, shoot, that's right, a former champion. Wait, can I have a hint to what you said?
No.
No.
A former champion. I don't know.
I feel like both of those.
And nothing really changes.
Right. I mean, nothing changes.
I mean,
at
you
all.
could remove the Big Show and nothing would really change.
True.
So is that your choice?
Yeah.
You would remove the Big Show.
I mean,
You have to pick one. So
I
I'm not.
can't, like-
I'm not judging you. I'm
know
just
what?
asking.
If you answer this will be the first poke the bear question I've ever heard you answer.
no, I
no, she's answered.
I've
I said
answered.
that I've heard.
Maybe.
Oh.
I missed the first one.
Without really, like, thinking hard and because I'm trying to be quick, I would say Big Show. And I hate to say that, but yeah, I would say Big Show.
Unfortunately, I would say I would agree with you. I think that nothing changes.
Molly Holly or Luna.
I said Molly Holly. He
Okay.
said Luna.
Because I mean, either one of those. But
That's not saying that they were poor workers or
no, it's
any
just,
of that. But
there's
if you
nothing
remove,
prominent that changes.
like I said, he added her. But what my thinking there was like, if you take Molly Holly away, somebody else would have filled that role
She's a Hall of Famer.
quicker. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but if I had to pick one, that would have been the way I'll go.
Interesting.
Okay. Hey, man, you get to choose your question for me.
But I also agree with you on Big Show.
Do you?
I do.
He's always been. God, I can't believe I'm getting ready to say this.
Oh, Lord.
But he's always been enhancement talent.
All right, Kenny.
I mean, he has been.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
A necessary enhancement talent, but
Yeah. If you could go back to any pay-per-view and attend, what would it be? And why?
any pay-per-view, any time era.
Or any big event. It doesn't have to necessarily be on pay-per-view, but any big event.
WrestleMania 1.
I was sitting here thinking that.
And
I
here's why. What was still is. And so the greatest spectacle at that time in professional wrestling has grown into become the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. It is the largest live entertainment spectacular on the planet. And folks that are wrestling in AEW, they're dreaming of one of two things right now. If you're a Sammy Guevara, is AEW comes up with something just as big, or that you get the opportunity to wrestle at WrestleMania.
You're trying to figure out how to get there.
When I was watching NXT earlier and seeing Finn come back, I remember, I don't know why, but I immediately thought, wow, I wonder if this year's WrestleMania was his last WrestleMania. Because NXT, and then not for him.
I think you'll see
not for
NXT
him,
matches at WrestleMania.
and I know that's a whole other topic, and then it made me think of AEW,
Well, they'll have 37 matches here before
they'll
long.
never, all those new guys, your Luchasaurus, they may never make it to WrestleMania, and are they okay with that? And it's just crazy to think, some people may be okay with that.
Yeah, and so, but that's why I'm
leading to
saying,
what you're saying,
maybe
yeah.
AEW
Yeah.
comes up with their own type of
Which
event.
would be cool, yeah.
It would be cool.
I would imagine that they will.
Yeah.
I would imagine that that's at least at a absolute bare minimum been discussed already.
I think it's all in.
Yeah.
I think that's what
so.
it will be.
I think they said they're going to stick with it being all out on Labor Day weekend in Chicago, or around that time.
So, I think that, that's, but for me, that would be the reason why, because you look at what Vince McMahon and his team at that point in time put together. That was 36 years ago.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's so crazy.
And I've now been to two of them. Tampa will be my third.
I feel like he always tries to pour that
Right.
salt on
Right.
the wound.
And
Just
it's
earlier.
it's one of those things where
I'll kick his chair up underneath him next
if I'll fall, I mean, you won't have to kick it.
That's a good point.
But it's one of those things that if I could go back, that's where I would want to be. Because I would want to be able to go back there and say, yeah, I was there for the first one. That I supported the product then,
From day one.
and I still support it now. Mm-hmm. So that would be the one pay-per-view I would want to go back.
I think I would want to be there the day that Hogan slammed Andre, too.
That would be cool.
obviously,
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm
kinda
not saying
figured you were
WrestleMania
gonna
1,
say-
but
Yeah.
That would be cool. Well, I'll tell you, the first
In
one
the
that came to
Silverdome.
my mind when you said that was WrestleMania 13. So when Austin won the title, that was the first one that came to my mind. But then I thought about why, and it would have been just would have been cool to be there for that match.
Yeah.
But then I thought about the significance of God, yeah, I mean that was cool, but what was cooler? The fact that
what started it
right,
all.
what
Right.
led to that moment? And the answer is 13 years before that is what led to that moment. Mm-hmm. And so that's absolutely the one show I would give. Every show I've been to, I would give to go back and be there for that one. So
Interesting. It's a good choice. I like that choice.
that segment didn't turn out to be so bad. We had good conversation with it.
I was just scared because we had to do work.
Yeah.
We don't like the spur of the moment stuff, man.
Yeah.
We get enough of that throughout the day.
Well, I know that, but
We like to walk in the door and know what we got.
some of us have a
have
busy schedule and don't always get the opportunity to do this stuff in advance.
All you gotta do is read email and pick 4
So-
questions.
It is time for our weekly trivia. A-Man has brought her title as she is the
Exhausted.
reigning defending Wrestle Rewind trivia champion.
Buttons.
As she swaps out her title.
That's right, my title.
Always talking shit.
At least I back it up.
So
I don't need to know about your Saturdays.
Oh. I love me a good Saturday.
Jesus Christ.
Does it light up too?
I wish. That's a good idea, actually.
You got to get this over with. All right. So tonight's first 10 questions, same as the past
They
couple
modeled
of
that
weeks,
character in the movie Robots after you.
will
didn't
be sweet baby Jesus, tiny infant, 8 pound, 6 ounce.
Let's just
Jesus. All right. Tonight's
they? Knock
first
that computer over.
first 10 questions going to be from WrestleMania 16.
Which WrestleMania?
WrestleMania 16.
Yes.
It's the one between.
2000?
No, that was not WrestleMania 2000.
Are you sure?
Yes.
WrestleMania 16?
Was that WrestleMania 2000?
Yeah.
You're the one holding the
'Cause
damn book.
WrestleMania 17
It's
was
listed as
2001.
WrestleMania 16.
I'm just what I'm saying.
Alright, whatever. It's
All right, so here we go. First 10 questions, multiple choice as always. Last 5 are not. The first one to either make it impossible for the others to win, or Double K will have first guess on the first question. I have not asked it yet, so what's your answer? All right.
The Silverdome brothers.
So, question number 1. What rap star performed the...
Ice-T.
That is correct.
What the hell? Do you go outside?
This is what-
No.
No, actually,
Look at that tan. That answers my question.
There you go. This is one of my other favorite WrestleManias.
Like freaking Casper the Ghost sitting over here. Just kidding.
Just a sort of loser, Double K.
Nico, you stay out of this. Nobody asked for your opinion.
Question number 2. Who won the fatal 4-way elimination match for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 16? Was it The Rock, Big Show, Triple H, or Mick Foley? Amen.
Triple H.
That is also correct. Question number 3. Who won the European Championship at WrestleMania 16? Was it Jeff Jarrett, D'Lo Brown, Kurt Angle, or Chris Jericho? Smokey Z.
D'Lo Brown.
That is incorrect.
That's Chris Jericho.
It was Chris Jericho.
I could see Ashley never leaving the house
Nope.
and sitting there with a pen and pad. Taking notes
I
on
can't tell
everything.
you how many times I've watched this WrestleMania over.
Awesome. Change the WrestleMania right now.
That's
You can go back to 22, like last week. That was another one of my favorites.
Did she just give me permission to change it? I'm pretty sure she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
So you can
Didn't
go back
she?
to WrestleMania.
All right, we're gonna change it.
22 from last
We're
week.
going to change it.
If we go back to 22, that's fine too.
We're not going to go to 22.
I
We're going to go to the history of the
Then no.
WWE Championship.
okay.
What
That's not really what I said, but we can go.
You said we could change it. Then
To
I said.
WrestleMania 22.
Then I said, did she give me permission to change it? And she said, yeah.
to WrestleMania 22.
You waited to add that point.
No, I said
You
it-
did.
We're killing,
Anyway.
we're killing
All right,
great
guys.
time here. Let's go.
Which superstar never won the WWE Championship in a 60-minute Iron Man match? Was it Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kurt Angle, or Brock Lesnar?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like those. We actually have to think.
I'm just glad I can use my timer now.
Say them again. What was it? Say it again.
Which superstar never won the WWE Championship in a 60-minute Iron Man match? Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kurt Angle. Amen.
Brock?
That is incorrect.
Ooh, I'm glad you got that wrong because I was thinking it.
The remaining choices are Shawn Michaels, Triple H, or Kurt Angle. Double K.
Kurt Angle.
That is correct. Question number 5. What man ended Bruno Sammartino's historic 8-year reign as WWE Champion in 1971?
That's awesome.
Was it Stan Stasiak, Buddy Rogers, Pedro Morales, or Ivan Koloff? Oh, we actually get to use the timer now. Double K.
Was it Stasiak?
That is incorrect.
Yeah.
Was it Pedro?
That is also incorrect.
Buddy Rogers.
That's also incorrect.
Nico, who is it?
It was Ivan Koloff. Was the answer.
Damn.
Question number 6. Who was the first man to win the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble?
Ooh.
Was it Ric Flair, Sergeant Slaughter, Randy Savage, or Bret Hart? Smokey Z.
Bret Hart.
That is incorrect.
Ric Flair?
That is also incorrect. Double K.
Slaughter.
It is Sergeant Slaughter.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I was thinking Slaughter the whole time, and then you guys just kind of confirmed it.
Question number... What are we at? 6. Nope, 7. Who was the first man to win and lose the WWE Championship the same day? Was it Andre the Giant, Bob Backlund, Yokozuna?
Bachman.
It was Yokozuna.
Amen. That is incorrect.
Start those names again, please.
It is it Andre the
Oh, you
Giant?
almost gave the answer.
Is it Andre the Giant, Bob Backlund, Yokozuna, or Superstar Billy Graham? Yokozuna being eliminated by a man.
Was it Bob Backlund?
That is also incorrect. Double K.
God. Billy Graham.
That is also incorrect. It was Andre the Giant.
If you'd have said Andre the Jordan, I'd know it.
But I thought,
Question number 8.
I just don't remember
didn't
that.
Yokozuna win and lose at WrestleMania?
Apparently not.
That doesn't mean he was the first one to do it.
He did say first one.
At what pay-per-view did The Undertaker win his first WWE Championship? I don't even need to look at the answers for this. I know it. Is it the Royal Rumble,
You want a cookie?
SummerSlam, Survivor Series, or WrestleMania? Double K.
Survivor Series.
It was Survivor Series.
I knew it.
What was the significance of that night? Does anybody else know?
Was it his debut?
It was not his debut.
No.
It was his 1-year anniversary.
Oh, it was
Right.
1 year. Okay.
He debuted at the Survivor Series the year before that. So, hold on, that was Double K. We now tied with A Man. Question.
Just kept our mouth shut.
Yep,
We've been
you should
on
have.
our way home by now.
Question. Ooh.
But we would have been.
Yep, that's true.
That's what
I mean-
wasn't even a shot.
Right.
Question number 8. Who was the first man to win the WWE Championship in a ladder match? Was it The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Edge, or Triple H?
WWE champion.
In a ladder match.
What were the last two?
Double K.
Edge.
That is incorrect.
What were the?
Oh, thank you for pressing your button, A-Man.
Wait, what were the last two?
The choices were The Rock, Edge, Triple H, or Shawn Michaels.
And you said Edge. Shawn Michaels.
That is also incorrect.
Triple H.
That is also
Are we
incorrect.
stuck at like process of elimination?
The
Actually,
correct,
we just need one more, and the process of elimination works.
the correct answer was The Rock.
Really? He was the
Wonder
first
about
one.
He was the first man to win the WWE Championship in a ladder match. How many times did the WWE Championship change hands in 2005?
Oh.
Christ.
1, 3, 5, or 7?
3.
Smokey Z, that is incorrect. Amen.
7.
That is also incorrect.
What are my two choices left?
I knew it.
1 and 5. Okay.
1.
That is correct. It was one time.
Nice.
I was gonna go 5, so you would have got that.
Yeah.
Regardless. Is that it?
No,
Oh.
Her heart just skipped a beat.
that's only question number 9. Well, we're on question number 9.
It's taking forever.
Who was the WWE champion in September 2002 when the title became exclusive to SmackDown? Was it Kurt Angle, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, or The Undertaker?
Who was the first?
Lesnar.
Smokey Z with the correct answer. That is Brock Lesnar. Question number 10. At what pay-per-view event did Edge cash in his
New Year's Revolution.
That is correct. It was New Year's Revolution.
It's a tie.
It is a tie, 4-4.
Thanks, Vince.
Question number 11. Which superstar never defeated Bret Hart for the WWE Championship? Was it
Who is not?
Yokozuna,
Right.
Bob Backlund, Diesel, or Psycho Sid?
Ooh, almost went too fast.
That's what he said.
Bob Backlund.
That is incorrect. Smokey Z.
Diesel?
It was Diesel.
It was Diesel.
Smokey Z. Smokey Z with his second point. We now move on to the non-multiple choice questions.
After that emphasis, he should have said pipe bomb.
Here we go. Bobby Heenan. These are not multiple choice.
Great.
The brain.
This is question number 12. Bobby Heenan rode into WrestleMania 9 on what? Double K.
A camel.
It was a camel.
Yep.
I think it was backwards.
Question
too,
number
wasn't
13. Who managed the Islanders to defeat the British Bulldogs and Coco Beware at WrestleMania 9? WrestleMania 4.
it? The Islanders. Who managed them, right?
Who managed them?
In WrestleMania 4.
Coming up on your first hint. This individual's nickname was the Weasel. Double K.
Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan is correct.
It's the second time you've never.
What?
Question number 14.
I was going to say something, but you guys are taking the wrong way.
Absolutely, we would.
They hit it first.
No,
I was going to say, I'm late to that party.
hit it faster than me.
Good old Rick.
Question number 14. What was the name of Coco Beware's bird?
God!
Oh,
I know it too.
God, I hate that bird. It's going to cost me my stupid title.
Oh, God, I can see the bird.
I have no clue.
Oh, my God, I cannot think of the bird's name. What? I need a hint. We need a hint. Need you to get with the program.
There is another. Here's your hint. There's another wrestler who shares his first name with the bird. His last name is Kazarian. Double K.
Frankie.
That is correct.
Doesn't that give me the
That
title?
is now 6 points. There's only one question left. Amen.
7.
Sorry, 7 points. I can't count. Still stuck
I'm
on.
not sure why you marked that one down there.
So I was laughing from your hitting it comments. I dropped down.
Good God.
Anyways, so that now means that Amen has been defeated, and the new
Because I opened my mouth.
Wrestle Rewind. The new Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion is Double K. Folks, that's going to wrap up tonight's show.
Oh, my Lord.
It's been another great night. Thank you for joining us. As always, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day, evening, night, whatever it is, to tune in. As always, I'm Tommy T.
Double K.
Smokey Z.
Folks, we will see you the next time on Wrestle Rewind.